Picture this. You check your bank account on a Sunday night. Your paycheck arrived 2 days ago. Somehow half of it is gone. Rent, groceries, subscriptions you forgot you had, maybe a car payment, maybe student loans. And you sit there thinking, how do people build wealth when every dollar already has a job? Look, if you have ever asked yourself that question, you are not alone. Because here is the strange part about money in America. According to the Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finances, the median American household has around $8,000 in savings. That is not emergency savings. That is total liquid savings. Meanwhile, social media makes it look like everyone else is building 6 different passive income streams before breakfast. And that gap between what people see online and what real financial progress looks like creates a lot of confusion. Because passive income sounds magical, money coming in while you sleep. But the truth is simpler and honestly more interesting. You do not need 10 income streams. You do not need to become a real estate mogul, and you definitely do not need to quit your job. What you need is a clear system. And today we are going to walk through exactly how someone can build a portfolio that produces about $1,000 per month in passive income, step by step, using math that anyone can follow. Introduction. My name is Tracy, and I spend way too much time thinking about personal finance, investing, and the strange ways people behave around money. If you are someone who feels stuck living paycheck to paycheck, trying to figure out how people build real financial security, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because the goal here is simple: clear financial thinking. No hype, just systems that work over long periods of time. So let's talk about the $1,000 per month goal. Why $1,000 changes everything. Here's the thing most people underestimate about $1,000 a month. It sounds small until you realize what it actually represents. $1,000 per month equals $12,000 per year. Now imagine you earn $60,000 at your job. An extra $12,000 is a 20% income increase, without working more hours, without asking for a raise. And here's what most people do not realize. The first $1,000 of passive income is the hardest milestone financially, because before you reach it, every dollar comes from labor. After you reach it, money begins producing money. And that changes your entire relationship with work, stress, and time. But let's address the obvious question. How much money do you need invested to produce $1,000 per month? The math behind passive income. Look, the answer depends on one key concept: yield. Yield simply means the percentage of income an investment produces each year. For example, if you invest $100,000 and earn 4% annually in dividends or interest, you receive $4,000 per year. That equals about $333 per month. So let's reverse engineer the $1,000 goal. $1,000 per month equals $12,000 per year. If your portfolio generates a 4% income yield, you would need about $300,000 invested. Now you might be thinking, Tracy, I do not have $300,000 lying around. And honestly, most people do not. But this is where the timeline becomes important, because the real engine of wealth is compound growth. According to historical market data, the S&P 500 has averaged roughly 10% annual returns over long periods. After inflation, that is closer to 7%. And that one difference between 0% and 7% growth changes everything. Here is an example. If someone invests $500 per month and earns 7% annually, after 25 years, they end up with around $380,000, which means the $1,000 monthly income goal becomes achievable without saving hundreds of thousands all at once. But here's the problem. Most people never reach this point, not because the math is hard, because the psychology is hard, the psychology problem. Here is what most people do not realize about investing. The biggest enemy is not risk, it is impatience. Research from Dalbar shows that the average investor underperforms the stock market by several percentage points per year, not because they choose bad investments, because they panic during market downturns. They buy when things feel safe, and they sell when things feel scary. And that behavior destroys long-term returns. Look, investing success is less about intelligence and more about emotional discipline. because the market will test your patience constantly. And this is where building a passive income portfolio becomes powerful, because instead of focusing on price fluctuations, you focus on income production, dividends, interest, cash flow, money arriving regularly. That psychological shift keeps investors committed long enough for compounding to work. So let's talk about the actual structure of a $1,000 passive income portfolio. The three income engines. There are many investments that generate income, but most reliable portfolios use three primary sources: dividend stocks, index funds, income-focused assets like bonds or REITs. Let's break them down. Dividend stocks. Dividend stocks are companies that share profits with shareholders. Think about companies like utilities, consumer goods brands, and established global businesses. Historically, dividend yields average around 2 to 4%, but the interesting part is dividend growth. Many companies increase their dividend payments every year, which means your income grows over time without investing additional money. For example, if a company pays $2 per share today and increases the dividend 8% annually, that payment doubles roughly every 9 years. This is where long-term passive income becomes powerful. Index funds. Index funds provide diversification. Instead of betting on individual companies, you own a slice of the entire market. This reduces risk and historically produces strong long-term returns. Many index funds also distribute dividends, which means you receive income while your investments grow. Now, here is something people overlook. The real value of index funds during the accumulation phase is growth, because growth builds the capital base required for future income. Income assets. The third component involves assets specifically designed to produce income. Examples include bonds, bond funds, and real estate investment trusts. REITs own real estate portfolios and distribute a large portion of their income to investors. Some REITs yield 4 to 7% annually. Now look, higher yield often comes with higher risk, so the goal is balance. Growth assets early, income assets later. This transition allows your portfolio to evolve as your financial goals change. Building the portfolio step by step. So let's walk through a simple path someone could follow. Step 1, automate investing. This is the most important step because financial progress rarely comes from motivation, it comes from systems. If you invest $300, $500, or $1,000 automatically each month, you remove the emotional decision from the process. Step 2, focus on growth first. During the early years, prioritize index funds and diversified stock investments. The goal here is capital growth because a larger portfolio later produces more income. Step 3, reinvest dividends. Instead of spending early dividends, reinvest them. This accelerates compounding. Over decades, reinvested dividends account for a massive portion of total returns. Step 4, shift toward income gradually. As your portfolio approaches 6 figures, begin adding income-producing assets, dividend ETFs, REITs, bond funds. This creates the foundation for passive income. Step 5, protect the income stream. Once your portfolio generates meaningful cash flow, diversification becomes critical. No single company should determine whether you receive income next month. Spread income sources across many assets, and suddenly your portfolio begins behaving like a financial machine. Money arriving regularly, independent of your daily work. The surprising insight. This is where it gets really interesting, because the biggest transformation from passive income is not the money, it is the psychological freedom. When your investments cover $1,000 of your monthly expenses, something strange happens. Work becomes less stressful. Financial decisions become more rational. You gain flexibility, you gain time, and you gain options. Because wealth is not about luxury purchases, it is about reducing financial pressure. And here is what most people do not realize. Once someone builds their first $1,000 per month in passive income, the next $1,000 becomes easier because the system is already working. Compounding continues, income reinvests, Momentum builds, the snowball grows. Final thoughts. Look, building passive income takes time. There is no shortcut, no secret stock, no magic strategy, just consistent investing, emotional discipline, and patience. But here's the encouraging part. Financial progress does not require perfection. It requires persistence. Small monthly investments, repeated for years, eventually become large financial engines. And one day you look at your portfolio and realize something surprising. Your money started working harder than you did, and that changes everything. If you found this helpful and you want more breakdowns on investing, wealth building, and the psychology behind financial decisions, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because the goal here is simple: help you think clearly about money so you can build a future where your finances support your life instead of controlling it.